Welcome to the SFG podcast, where we share stories of faith, grace, and life's journey. In today's episode, we'll dive into a surprising and beautiful story about the Samaritan woman. An encounter that reminds us of God's redeeming love and His power to meet us right where we are, no matter our past or present struggles. I hope it encourages and uplifts you today. Let's get started. Imagine this for a moment. You're seated somewhere, maybe reflecting on life or trying to catch your breath from the busyness of the day. And suddenly, Jesus comes right up to you and asks for help. Now pause and think about it. How would you react? What would be your first instinct? You know this is Jesus, your helper, our helper, asking for help. And you're probably thinking, Jesus shouldn't be asking me for help. He's the one who helps me. What could I, a mere human, possibly do for him? But that's similar to what happened to someone in the Bible. And her story is about to challenge how we think about Jesus, ourselves, and the things that weigh us down. Let's go to a small village called Sychar in Samaria. Jesus was traveling from Judea to Galilee and chose to pass through Samaria. Now, Jews and Samaritans didn't exactly see eye to eye. More like they avoided each other completely. But Jesus, he had a mission. He arrived at Jacob's well, exhausted from the journey, and sat down to rest. His disciples had gone off to find some food, leaving him alone. That's when a Samaritan woman showed up, carrying her water jar, just trying to get on with her day. And then, out of nowhere, Jesus said to her, "Please give me a drink." Now, let's pause for a second. This woman wasn't used to being spoken to like that, especially not by a Jewish man. So naturally, she looked at him, probably with raised eyebrows, and said, "You are a Jew and I am a Samaritan woman. Why are you asking me for a drink?" And then Jesus, calm as ever, replied, "If you only knew the gift God has for you and who you are speaking to, you would ask me and I would give you living water." Imagine her confusion. Living water? From a man with no bucket or rope? She couldn't help but point out the obvious. "But sir, you don't even have a rope or bucket, and this well is very deep. Where would you get this living water? And besides, do you think you are greater than our ancestor Jacob, who gave us this well? How can you offer better water than he and his sons and animals enjoy?" I can just picture Jesus smiling a little. It's almost like he was thinking, if only you knew. You know that feeling when someone doubts your ability, but you're just sitting there like, okay, keep talking. But Jesus wasn't talking about the kind of water that comes from a well. He was talking about something far deeper, something that fills the soul, not just the body. He said, "Everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again. But whosoever drinks of the water I give him will never be thirsty again. The water that I give him will become in him a spring of water welling up to eternal life." And that's when it clicked. The woman was tired, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. She was weighed down by the past, by her mistakes, and feeling less than enough. So she blurted out, "Sir, give me this water so that I will not be thirsty or have to come here to draw water." But Jesus knew she needed more than a quick fix. He saw past her words and right into her soul. So he said, "Go call your husband and come here." Ouch. That hit a nerve. She replied honestly, "I have no husband." And Jesus said, "You are right. You don't have a husband, but you have had 5 husbands and you aren't even married to the man you're living with now. You have certainly spoken the truth." Can you feel the weight of that moment? Exposed, vulnerable, yet seen, not condemned, but known. Imagine her face at that moment. Shocked, confused, maybe even a little scared. How did he know her story? Now that Jesus had her full attention, she tried to switch the topic to something spiritual, saying, "Sir, you must be a prophet. So tell me, why is it that you Jews insist that Jerusalem is the only place of worship, while we Samaritans claim it is here at Mount Gerizim, where our ancestors worshipped?" So Jesus explained to her that true worship isn't about a place, but about worshiping the Father in spirit and in truth. He said, "For God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and truth." Still unsure, the woman said, "I know the Messiah is coming, he who is called Christ. When he comes, he will tell us all things." And then the big reveal. Jesus said to her, "I who speak to you am he." Whoa, can you imagine how that must have hit her? Right in the middle of that realization, the disciples returned, probably giving each other confused looks like, why is he talking to a Samaritan woman? But the woman didn't care. She left her water jar and ran into the village, telling everyone, "Come see a man who told me all that I ever did. Can this be the Christ?" The people came to see for themselves. Many believed because of her testimony. So what's the takeaway from this story? Sometimes we feel like outsiders, unworthy of love or acceptance, burdened by our past mistakes or the situations we find ourselves in. We carry around shame like that woman carried her water jar, heavy, awkward, and unavoidable. But here's the truth. Just like the Samaritan woman, Jesus knows our story and still chooses to meet us right where we are. He doesn't avoid our mess. Instead, he steps right into it and offers something better, something that quenches our deepest thirst and sets us free from the weight we've been carrying. And maybe that's where you are right now. Do you believe in the redemptive power of Jesus? Do you believe he can save you from that circumstance or complicated situation? Whatever it takes, Jesus is standing right in front of you, asking for your belief, your willingness to let him in, and your openness to transformation. And maybe you already know him, but you feel weary or unfulfilled. Jesus is offering living water, something no one else can give. Are you willing to come to him with your thirst and be renewed? See, the Samaritan woman didn't hesitate after that encounter. She dropped her jar, yes, the very thing that represented her daily struggle, and ran back to the village to tell everyone that there was a man who knew everything about her and still offered her hope. What's your jar today? What's weighing you down or making you feel stuck? Are you willing to drop it and let Jesus fill you up with something better? Here is the beautiful part. Jesus isn't afraid of your story. He's not put off by your past or overwhelmed by your struggles. He wants your heart, openness, and willingness to receive His grace. Take a moment to reflect on that. Pray if you need to. Worship if you need to. Tell Jesus what's on your heart. He's right there with you, offering living water, renewal, and grace. So, are you willing to meet Jesus at the well of your life today? Will you accept the living water He's offering? And as we continue the Grace series starting in April, I encourage you to share your story of redemption and hope. There's something powerful about telling others how Jesus met you at your well and changed your life. Let's keep spreading hope and grace, one story at a time. Stay connected on Instagram or visit Stories of Faith and Grace for more inspiration. Remember, God is in your story and present in every detail. Stay blessed, stay encouraged, and stay rooted in His grace. I'll see you in the next episode. This is MM, and you're listening to the SFG podcast.